Hey everybody, as we get the stream set up here, we're looking, it's a little bit before noon right now, so we're going to give everybody a chance to log in. If you're here live with me on my YouTube live session on Thursday, thanks for coming. Thanks for being on time. Thanks for being early even. Hey, we're going to have a great talk today, and then we're going to, as always, we're going to discuss our video, the video I posted yesterday on the SBSK website or Facebook page. And we're going to be going over some details, maybe a little more insight, try to add a little more value, some free content for you if you're a student of reading smoke, if you're a believer in volume, velocity, density, color, and what they can tell us about the fire, what's going to happen, what's happening now, what's going to happen in the future, and then start to figure out what we can do about it, right? Um, as always, I like to thank the fire department, Tulsa, Oklahoma Fire Department in this case. Really nice fire attack here. We'll discuss more in depth, but it's great that they're putting stuff out there for us to take a look at. And credit for this video goes to Fire 10 Rescue. And you'll see the link in the show notes. I encourage you to go over there, check their stuff out, subscribe to their page, spread a little love from the Reading Smoke nation over to the Fire 10 Rescue and all the people that are putting their videos out there for us to learn from, right? We can't go to enough fires. If we went to a fire every day, that'd be great. But for most of us, and certainly for me being retired, we're looking at video, and it's a good way to help spread the message and all that kind of stuff. All right. Also, I always like to say thanks to a couple of new subscribers. So Nick L and Rand Jeffrey, thanks for subscribing. If you subscribe and then you hit the notifications when we post new content, you'll see it up there. So we're going to be posting new content every week. Next week I'm going to be on the road, so it might be live, it might be on tape, but either way there'll be something here on YouTube Live at 1400 Eastern Time next Thursday. I'm hoping I can make it live, but never know what's going to happen on the road as far as having enough internet access, that sort of thing. All right, so here we go. What we're looking at today is with Tulsa is an attic fire, right? We have an attic fire, maybe a fire in one of these upstairs bedrooms that extended to the attic. But either way, we're looking at a pretty quick look. We're only going to use maybe 30, 45 seconds of this video as we go along. But right here on the still frame, you can see really good working fire in the attic. And what we're looking at with the reading smoke, there's two ways to think about it and two ways to train yourself. One is what do I see and what don't I see? Now this is a good example of one of our roadblocks to reading smoke is that your eye is first drawn, first affinity to light and motion, right? And this fire right here certainly has both light and motion. And that's the way your eye is designed. That kept you alive in the days of being able to see the tiger that was sneaking up on you, right? And so in these videos, if the first thing your eye is drawn to, and mine is every time, is this action and the bright light, right? But the thing we want to train ourselves to do is get our eye off of this, because this is telling us everything we need though in half a second, 1 second, right? Yeah, is there a good working fire in the static? Yes, right? But if we get our eye off of this fire and start looking around, what do we see? Well, there's definitely smoke coming out the ridge vent, but we don't see any smoke coming out of the dormers here. And it's something I talked about on the SBSK Facebook page, right? So there's no smoke coming out of these dormers. So there's a couple possibilities here. One is that the doors to these rooms are closed, but that's got to be mixed with what's going on with the building construction, right? So in these dormers, there's sort of two ways to make these. One is to put sheetrock flat across the top, and then generally this space, this little triangle attic space, would be just connected wide open to the attic. The other way to do it is to make this a cathedral ceiling and close the whole thing in sheetrock so it's just completely part of the room. And so in this case, what we can say is we know for sure, or not for sure, but we can, because there's always caveats, right? But most likely this space is not connected to the attic. Otherwise, we'd see some smoke pushing out of here, right? That would be the most likely scenario. So we can say that probably this is a cathedral ceiling. And then the other question comes in, are the doors to these rooms open or closed? And that's an unknown quantity right now, because if the doors were open, there still may not be any smoke here, because if the fire's confined mostly to the attic or exclusively to the attic, even with the doors open, or the fire, if there's not going to be any smoke here, right? So that's one possibility. The other possibility is it's just an attic fire and it hasn't extended into these spaces up here, which whether the doors are closed or open tells us these rooms are in pretty good shape, both from a smoke and fire behavior perspective, right? So what we can say is probably there's little to no smoke in these two rooms. And then what about the rest of the upstairs? Well, if it mimics this, then there's very good visibility up here. We have really, I think, pretty good ventilation here, because the 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 if smoke is fuel, and we've seen this in some of the other videos, even though there's smoke coming off here, it's not these huge volumes, right? There's not huge volumes of smoke coming off. I mean, this is a pretty well ventilated fire. A couple other things we can see: this fire's in this attic, but it's not in the garage attic, or you would see something coming out of this gable end, or for sure this pergola on top. This is off gassing, but that's not coming from inside. That's just off gassing due to this radiant heat. So we know the garage is not involved. We know the first floor the first floor we didn't talk about, but the second floor is basically going to be clear of smoke. That's our expectation. We'll have to confirm that once we open the door. And it looks like the fire is almost completely confined to the attic at this point and not in the living spaces. So the visibility is good on floor 2, then we know for sure visibility is good on floor 1. Now, how do we confirm all this? Well, if this is your look driving up, you can read all that right off the get-go in the first 5 or 10 seconds as you're riding in. If you're the officer, you happen to be sitting on the side where the fire is as you pull in. But 2, we can confirm these things if, as we're stretching, right? So we're going to come from back here somewhere, we're going to stretch down probably to the walkway to the front door. That will give us a really good look at a really good way to read these windows, and these windows up here, right? And we're looking for that too. If we have our initial assessment and we have our expectations, what we want to say is like, hey, do those windows represent what I think is happening, right? Are they confirming or contradicting what you saw at the beginning, right? In order to do that, you got to sort of have your head up and be looking at these windows. But if we looked at it, we said, hey, there's no sweating, there's no condensation, there's no blackness, I can see the blinds clearly, they're not melted. Those sorts of things are going to confirm for you, in fact, what your initial read was, that there isn't any fire in these spaces. Or you might look at, hey, this window, I can't see it that great from here. Maybe there is steam condensation on the window. Maybe there is black soot on the window. Maybe there's a little bit of smoke pushed out here. Okay, that would confirm for you, right? It would contradict your initial read, but it will confirm to you that this space has smoke in it, which means more likely than not the whole second floor, at least at the top of the stairs, right? So it would change your expectation of what you're going to see when you open the door. Right, but let's stick with the initial read: no smoke, no smoke, no smoke. Going to be clear on the first floor, mostly clear on the second floor as we're stretching, right? So all of that we can see really, if you train your eye and you train your mind to think about these things quickly, you can see all that within the first 8 to 10 seconds of looking at this fire. We'll let it roll out. I'm gonna swing past the arrival, so you don't need to see people coming in. I know you've all seen a fire engine responding before. Okay, but they've made their stretch. They're in the fire building, and look, they're stretching dry. Now, from the comments on the Facebook page, I know that the firefighter on the nozzle here told me they stretched dry to the second floor. Really good visibility, and that's from the person on the nozzle on the first line. That confirms everything that we saw before. Plus, like I said, we can look at these windows now. No sweating, no soot, no sweating, no soot. Like no problem here. Now all these blinds are closed, but you'd still be able to see, especially on the second floor. On floor two, if something was really going on in one of these rooms, you'd be able to tell from these windows. There'd be even a little bit of smoke pushing around these cracks and seams of these windows. Would tell you that there's going to be that the fire's got some control of floor two. Um, all of this confirms our initial read, which is great, right? I mean, that what we want is we want to have expectations and then just measure those against what we see as we move along. And we can go here and watch definitely some significant fire and smoke in the attic. And per the nozzle men on the first line, really good visibility. And these guys are, from on-scene time to in the door, they're in the minute range, which their operational pace is really pretty significantly high, which you gotta like, right? You gotta like that if you're if you're a firefighter and you like getting after it, which I think we all do. And we're already seeing just another minute or so later, it's a little bit diminished fire behavior as they start. Look, boom, there goes that one. Now we have high volume, high velocity. That's white smoke though. Tells us that they put water on that. And from here, we can just watch the fire. We could just watch the fire attack proceed. Um, my guess is with the second team that went in there, they're clearing these bedrooms, right? That'd be sort of my expectations. We're getting that primary search complete on floor two, which at nighttime, that's where the people are going to be, right? It's the middle of the night. They're going to be at home in bed if they're not staying in the front yard. Now, in this case, nobody was home. This family was just moving in. But we can see we're making progress on the fire attack. Fire behavior is starting to go down. So they start here, they're starting to work their way across. Boom. Another set of high volume, high velocity white smoke, right? That's our steam from our fire attack. And Tulsa, Oklahoma Fire Department is killing it. And they're doing what they are sworn to do for the citizens that they serve, and that's protect life and property. All right. Hey, thanks everybody for joining me here today. Um, didn't get any comments during the live cast, but that's all right. If you have comments or questions, throw them up there and I'll definitely answer those. Uh, as I always do for the comments, remember, click like, click subscribe, tell your fellow firefighters about our work here every Thursday at 2 o'clock, and as always, on the Facebook page at SBSK. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll see you next week. All right. Bye.